Hello students, I, Assistant Professor Sandhya Sharma, Journalism and Mass Communication Department of IMS Gazipad University Courses Campus. Today, I'll teach you process of communication. So, communication and its process. What is communication? Communication is the art of transmitting information, ideas, and attitudes from one person to another. Communication is the process of meaningful interaction among human beings. We can say communication is a two-way process. If we are talking about process, it is a two-way process in which one is sender and another is receiver. Sender sends the message, receiver receives the message and send a feedback. Once a sender receives a feedback, then the communication process will be complete. We can say communication is a personal process. It occurs between people, involves change in behavior. After getting any message or communication, it changes the behavior of the receiver as well as the sender when he will get a feedback. It is a means to influence others. It is only a communication which influence others. Influenced by message. Expression of thoughts and emotions through words and action. We can say it is a gestural communication in which we express of thoughts and emotions and we communicate to the target audience. Communication is a tool for controlling and motivating people. It is only a communication through which we can motivate people to do something. If communication is not there, then we cannot motivate people. As we all know, communication is a key to success. So for success, for in any kind of relationship, we require communication. Yes, it is a social and emotional process. Communication is social and emotional process both. If we are the social animal and we are living in the society. So to live in the society, we have to communicate with the people lives in society. And emotional level at our home or the people whom we are attached very much, we have to express our feelings to him and her, and it is also a communication. Okay, now the features of communication. Yes, it is a two-way process. Two-way means communication would be going on until and unless sender and receiver both are active. If out of sender and receiver anyone stops conversation or feedback, then it would not be a process of communication. The communication interrupts or communication can stop. Information sharing and understanding. It is the feature of communication that through communication, we can share the information and understand what one can tell us, one wanted to tell us. It is the feature of communication that communication can be verbal or non-verbal. Verbal means we can use written, oral, communication, and non-verbal cues are there through which we can communicate. Yes, for in gestural communication, Kathak is the best form of gestural communication. It is a dance form. Okay. Circular flow. Circular means where we can find no end. Then it is a communication. When there is no end. Sender, receiver. Sender sends a message to receiver. Then receiver sends a feedback to sender. Then receiver sends a message, a feedback to sender. Then receiver became sender and sender became receiver. It is a circular flow. Goal oriented. Yes, it is very important feature of communication. In any communication, there is a particular goal. What is the goal? To communicate a particular message to the target audience. Yes, it is a continuous process. If it is a process, it must be a continuous process. It is a pervasive activity. Here is the picture which shows the communication process. There is one sender which encoded the message. He sent the message with a particular channel. Then decoding the message done by receiver, and receiver sends a feedback. Yes, noise interrupt the communication process. Message is a key idea that the sender wants to communicate. What sender wants to communicate, that is only a message. It is a sign that elicits the response of recipient. Communication process begins with deciding about message to be conveyed. Communication is actually initiated by a sender, and it must be ensured that the main objective of the message is clear to the target audience or the receiver. Components of communication process. Sender, or we can say encoder, who encode the message. Sender is a person who sends the message. It is very clear. A sender makes use of symbols, words or graphic or visual aids to convey the message and produce the required response. Okay, it is only a sender who sends the message. It is very clear from the day one we are discussing. There is in any communication, there is one sender and another is receiver. Sender is a person who sends the message with the help of words, graphic or visual aids. For instance, a training manager conducting training for a new batch of employees. Sender may be an individual or a group or an organization. The views, background, approach, skills, competencies, and knowledge of the sender have a great impact on the message. It is only a message which leaves an impact on the receiver. It is only the message which motivates the receiver to send a feedback. It is only the message which is initiated by the sender to motivate the receiver to send a feedback. The language of the message, which should be easily understandable for the receiver, he can decode the message easily. It is very important. Encoding. Encoding is the process where the information you would like to communicate gets transferred into a form to be sent and decoded by the receiver. Channel. Channels are the way you convey your message, through which you have to convey your message to the receiver. And these channels include verbal, such as telephone and face-to-face conversations, as well as non-verbal such as email and text messaging. Each individual channel has its strength and weakness in terms of communicating. At the time we are selecting a particular channel for communication, we have to keep in mind our target audience. That is very important. For instance, written medium is chosen when a message has to be conveyed to a small group of people, while an oral medium is chosen when spontaneous feedback is required. If we want a two-way communication in our communication, then we will use oral medium from the recipient, as misunderstandings are clear then and there. Okay? Decoding. Decoding is on the receiving end of communication. This stage is as important as encoding. Communication can go downhill at this stage if the receiver is not practicing active listening skills, or if they do not possess enough information to accurately decode the message. It is very important. If receiver is unable to decode the message, then communication interrupt at the initial stage. Receiver, finally, the person whom the message is created. Receiver is a person whom the message is intended or aimed. Our target. The degree to which the decoder understands a message is dependent upon various factors such as knowledge of recipient, their responsiveness to the message, and the reliance of encoder and decoder. It is very important. Okay. Now, feedback, the main component of communication process. If we can say feedback is not there, then this is a line communication, not cyclic. So feedback is the main component of communication process, as it permits the sender to analyze the efficiency of the message. It helps the sender in confirming the correct interpretation of message by the decoder. Feedback may be verbal through words or non-verbal in forms of smile, signs, etc. It may take written form also in form of memos, reports, etc. if we are talking about formal communication.